what we want to ensure is that everybody is welcome at Outward Bound and there is no barrier to them coming.
Yeah.
And
equipment can be a barrier,
yeah,
can't it, for a lot of people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if you think a waterproof coat,
a Burkhouse waterproof coat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, a pair of walking boots, and I know we've got places, you know, that we can go and get these things, but actually families who are struggling, we're in this cost of living crisis, it's tricky for everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a worry for people when they come to Outward Bound. People think, oh, I'm not fit, I'm not this, I'm not that. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's just get on and see what you can do. It's not, you're not teaching people to canoe or to abseil or to rock climb or any of those things. We're here to learn about behaviours, and we're just using those activities as a vehicle for learning.
And I guess you're showing people that the outdoors is accessible to everyone.
Absolutely.
And anyone can get stuck in and enjoy it in some way or another.
Absolutely. So, yeah, all the great things in here, boots, and then you come through. We then have all of our
climbing station.
Yeah, climbing equipment, harnesses, helmets, ropes, the lot in here. So we've got wetsuits, buoyancy aids, helmets for being in the gorge, so different to helmets for being out on the rocks. And then we've got proper gorge boots as well. So we're really lucky as an organisation that we have some great partnerships with organisations who sponsor a lot of this for us. So our corporate partnership team, when we know that we've got a need for something as a charity, we have to go and raise that money from somewhere to buy those things. So we have some great partnerships where we can go to an organisation and say, you know, we're looking to renew our buoyancy aids. Are you able to support us with that?
Yeah.
And that's how we ensure that we've got all of this equipment.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got some things that you can do on site, but the way that Outward Bound is different to other outdoor education providers is that we do things on quite a large scale. So we can create quite big journeys out of the back door, which we're so lucky to be able to do. And some organisations with a focus on net zero, as everybody does, and that sustainability and that environmental impact, have taken to creating a competition within their groups as to who can be the most net zero across their week here. So we've had organisations who've had competitions about food wastage, who haven't used a minibus to get them anywhere. They've just walked everywhere. And just challenge them in different ways. So this is a great area if we want to do some presentations on a Friday, but we don't want to do inside presentations. So if you've had a group of young people come together across the week, and one of their main focus areas was around communication skills, building confidence and trust within their team, this is an absolutely brilliant example that they can use on a Friday to showcase that. So when organisations bring their apprentices and graduates to Outward Bound, we would always ask that they send a visiting staff member with the group. So we work in groups of up to 12, and we ask for a visiting staff member per group. And that person is generally the link back to the workplace. So when those young people leave here with their action plans, they're going back into work, but they've got this person who they can speak to about their Outward Bound experience and how they're then going to transfer those skills back into work. We also invite senior managers, senior leaders, and anybody else who is interested from the organisation to join us at the end of the week to see presentations. So we want the young people to be able to express their thoughts and feelings about the week and be able to showcase what they've learned and what they're taking away. So on the High All Aboard, what we're asking them to do as a group is work together as a team with a person who's going to climb up the pole, a person who's holding the ropes, and a supporting safety person with them. And
there's a lot of trust in people that you're with, isn't it?
So
to do
much
that
trust.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And so you've got people like me who are terrified of heights. So halfway up, I would be crying. And we do have those really kind of emotional reactions to things.
I can imagine.
And it is so amazing with the support and encouragement of the team around them, how people push themselves on in a way that they have never thought possible. So I joined a group, not this April, last April. It was a mixed group of apprentices and graduates. And when I sat down with them on the Monday afternoon, we went round and introduced ourselves. And the young lad was sat next to me, and he was so nervous he couldn't say his name. And it turned out that in his spare time, he goes rock climbing. I'm terrified of heights. So when we climbed up Netherbeck Gorge, just off Wastwater, he was the one who was going through the gorge. I love the water, that's great. But we got to the end of the gorge and there was a climb to get out. And he was the one who, along with the rest of the team, supported me in encouraging me and, you know, just making sure that I knew I was safe and that, you know, so-and-so was holding my rope and so-and-so's here and so-and-so's here. And actually that fear that I had in me went away because they were all talking to me the whole time I was climbing. I could hear them talking. And when I got to the top, he was at the top and he was like, brilliant, are you okay? Well, I absolutely wasn't okay, but
you did it.
Learned loads about myself.
And it's a good real life example of how working as a team, you can achieve so much more together.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what we find here, that you've got that support and encouragement in this really safe environment. You've built that trust with people and you can work together. So you can see at the top of that, the board is really quite small and we're asking 4 people to get up onto the top of it.
Oh, wow.
And then we're asking them to stand and hold hands with each other and lean back.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah. So you put in your trust in the people who are holding your ropes.
Yeah.
You put in your trust in the people who are supporting you with your climb as well.
Yeah.
And it's really, really great to see.
I can imagine they're quite well bonded by the time they get the bus back home.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is it, isn't it? That so many of these people in the world in which we work now, it's a lot of hybrid working, remote working, or organisations who are quite large, so they have different sites that people work across. And we have so many digital opportunities to keep in touch with each other, which are brilliant. But there is nothing greater than bringing your team together in person to build those networks and those relationships. Because actually, I now can understand that those relationships that I've made and that I've built over the years, they are the relationships that support you through work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you noticed an uptake in like this kind of thing since the pandemic at all?
Yeah, definitely. And what we're hearing more and more of is that it is more and more needed. I was talking to a gentleman this morning from quite a large organisation. They're an engineering firm. And he was saying their apprentices, they start from 16 and they are not work ready. They do not have the behaviours that they need or are expected of them when they come into the workplace to get on and to learn.
Yeah.
And so we got chatting about Outward Bound. He didn't know anything about Outward Bound. And the first thing he said was, well, we do this classroom-based behavioural training. We do this, and it's all classroom-based.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely great. However, you learn so much about yourself when your comfort zone is stretched.
Yeah.
You learn so much about yourself when you are in a position where everything is accelerated. You're being thrown together with this group of people and you have to build relationships quite quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think an Outward Bound programme can complement lots of other training.
Yeah.
It's about us fitting in with that overall learning journey. You know, it's often seen as, oh, you're going away for a week of fun in the Lake District. And we really hope that people view it as that.
There's not fundamentally a lot more to it than that,
yeah.
isn't there? And what they go away with is so much more.
Yeah, not everybody does enjoy the week, and that's okay. They might hate the week, but they've probably learned loads about themselves. Yeah. And that's all that we can ask, that they go away with an action plan and some areas for development that they know that they then have the skills to work on. Yeah. And that they're going away feeling like a really valued member of their organisation. Yeah. You know, we know that organisations can struggle to find the time to bring people out to come to something like this. Yeah. And it's really difficult to show the value until you've done it and you see the changes in those people, you know. And I see it on a Monday morning and then again on a Friday morning. Some of those young
along
people,
the way.
Yeah.
And really do you find you get organisations that will come sort of every year and bring their new cohort of apprentices?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some organisations who bring every single apprentice or every single graduate in that year's cohort, and they will do that regularly. Yeah. And we have quite long-standing relationships with lots of those organisations. Yeah. And we work with some smaller organisations as well. So, as I say, we work in groups of up to 12, but we have some small organisations which maybe only have 6 apprentices. Yeah. And so what we try to do is pair them up with other smaller organisations so we can pull together their shared values and those shared learning objectives that they're looking to achieve.
With another company.
Yeah.
And do you have many organisations in Cumbria?
Yes, lots. Yeah, lots of organisations in Cumbria. So lots of large organisations on the west coast of Cumbria. Oh yeah. And yeah, some smaller organisations as well. Some new organisations that have just started with us. But really, we have people from all over the UK. And some of our organisations, because they are international, they bring their apprentices from Europe as well. In fact, one company brings their apprentices from the Far East. Yeah. In terms of our offering, we can offer early careers programmes at any of our centres. Yeah. And they can work really nicely alongside our school and youth groups and our summer adventure programmes. We just don't run those programmes here at Eskdale. This is purely early careers. Yeah. This is our spider's web. And it is a really fun activity. So the aim of this is to work together as a team to get each one of your team members from one side to the other. You cannot touch the string and you can only use a couple of the holes more than once. Okay. So there's a lot of planning that has to go into who you're putting through here. Who's going through here? How are you getting them?
I was going to say, do you get ladders? Or...
No.
No, you have to get up there.
So working together as a team, and again, it's that trust. You're asking somebody to lift you up and poke you through. And actually, that's really challenging for lots of people. So many things that this can bring out in terms of behaviours. Yeah. So we're talking about communication, talking about building trust again, that problem solving, that self-awareness. Yeah. You know, the
spatial awareness.
Yeah, and so many people who, when you're together in that team, you often bring out the natural leaders who maybe shout the loudest sometimes, but you can guarantee that there's somebody standing at the back who's seen it and maybe got a different idea. And our trainers are great in drawing out that conversation from people, that inclusion of everybody. Yeah, and just really making sure that they are working together as a team. Yeah. And having watched groups do this, it is the most frustrating thing. I think it's different for every team. I know if my team that I work within, we often come to the centre and we'll go abseiling, or we go to the bridge jump. But if we were to do this, it would look very different to if your team were to do this, because we would all have different thoughts, different ideas. So if we continue on up the hill, with Outward Bound, what we do when we have the, we deal with some organisations on the West Coast and they bring their degree apprentices, and it's great to see how valued they feel. So they know that coming to Outward Bound, there is a cost to the organisation, and they know that they're being taken out of the business for a week and there is a cost involved in that, but they feel really valued, that the organisation is investing in their development and not just the technical skills and the education side, but them as an individual as well. So yeah, I think it's a great thing to do. I suppose from in my mind, when we first started talking, it's that kind of opportunity to direct those young people or those organisations that come to you who are possibly in need of that bridge, you know, that bridge from school into work. And organisations who are possibly looking for support in that behavioural development element of an apprenticeship, for example. And so I suppose it's tricky if you're a small or medium organisation and you don't have large numbers. And that's why we're looking at evaluating what we're doing and offering opportunities to join together with other organisations. Because we want to ensure that Outward Bound is something that everybody can come to. And we know that, you know, what we do within early careers, there is a cost attached. And we want to be able to make that as affordable as possible, so organisations can use their apprenticeship levy to fund the training element of an Outward Bound programme. And yeah, I think I see the relationship between us as being able to support young people in Cumbria. And I think that's what we both want to do. You know, young people don't know what is available to them. The education system, there's something missing that is ensuring that our children have that information. I do think that there are some jobs that exist that our young people do not know exist. If they saw somebody on TikTok, their own age, that they could relate to, going and doing those things, that conversation would be completely different.
The sorts of areas that we're hoping to sort of, I suppose, sort of meet those divides and bridge those gaps and try to sort of do away with some of those stereotypes and misperceptions that are out there, and sort of join those dots. I mean, I think
instructor at our Ullswater site, and his girlfriend is a biochemist, and she now works within the farming community to educate them about pesticides. I'm pretty sure that when she decided she was going to be a biochemist, that's not probably what she maybe thought she would have in terms of a job. So Jacob's Ladder is a challenge for people who are vertically challenged like myself to even get on the bottom bit of the ladder. It's a great team exercise, really challenging. We time them as well, so they've only got a certain amount of time to get to the top. Very frustrating. Relating that back into work, you've got a challenge that you're maybe not sure how to tackle, and so you make a plan, and then it starts raining. So whatever that rain is that you're in your work, that's the rain here making the pole slippery. So what do you need to do to change your plan? What's your plan B? And how are you coming together to work as a team to do that? So yeah, we're just using these things to get you thinking in a different way. And we know that lots of young people as well, there is so much neurodiversity that is being recognised now and being supported in a way that it's never been supported before in the workplace. And we've got all of these amazing brains that work in really different ways to be able to identify solutions. And actually, they don't learn the same in a classroom as they maybe do outside. And so that's another way that Outward Bound just excels in bringing out those different strengths from people, because we're just giving them a different environment to thrive. And again, creating really safe spaces for people to be able to try new things. So, presentations can come in any form that really the young people want to do, because it's their presentation about their week. They generally stand up together in their group and take turns in presenting a part of their experience. And so when they are presenting, we're asking them to think about the next step. So the next step is going back into work on Monday morning. So what does that look like now you've spent a week at Outward Bound? So what have you learned about yourself? Who have so much pressure on themselves, from whether it's internal pressure or external pressure, to do well and to perform and to achieve, that they then crumble. And when you hear the stories that they tell about their Outward Bound experience and how it supported them, it brings a whole different dynamic to the Outward Bound experience and the benefit that it can have for young people. And no wetsuits for Jog and Dip.
Wow.
We have had groups that have had to break the ice to get in Jog and Dip. That was not this January, but the January before. They broke the ice to get in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And some of them chose not to get in. And then, as I say, if we went round the town, we can then come out of the other side of the centre, and we end up at the bottom of the rock face that I was saying about before, when we go out the top of the centre, and it kind of meets in the middle. And then we can create journeys where, as I said before, you know, navigating or canoeing or whatever, and then people can walk back in over the fell. We can minibus people to a certain place. We take loads of young people up Scafell Pike, canoeing on Wastwater, Ilgill Head. Loads of quite big journeys for people, you know, who maybe aren't used to being in this environment. I think that's what sets Outward Bound aside from other outdoor education providers. So we do have these amazing things on site, but we are not an activity centre. We're about creating big journeys. Those big journeys can be as challenging as you make them. So they're still inclusive journeys, but we can work in a way that we can make them what we need them to be.
Do you think maybe that is a misconception about Outward Bound, and that it is an activity centre?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do. I think people see it as a jolly in the Lake District, and I'm maybe going to go and do some, you know, rock climbing. Just getting young people outside is our goal. But if we can get them to Outward Bound and create some really big, impactful, meaningful journeys, then we can really start to make a difference for young people. So when they go out on the tarn this afternoon, we've got a safety boat in here. So the trainers will go out onto the safety boat and just ensure that, you know, if anybody does fall in or the raft collapses, that we're able to go and rescue people.
So how many people work on site here then?
So if we've got a group, so the centre is full this week, so we've got 8 groups, which is 96 young people. So it doesn't feel like there's 96 young people here right now. So each group will have 2 trainers with them, and then we've got the hospitality team as well. It'll be 2 years ago in September, and do you know, it's a funny place to work, Outward Bound, because it's on my doorstep. So I live just outside Penrith, and so the Outward Bound site at Ullswater is somewhere that I would have seen, you know, regularly. And I've always worked as a manager managing people, but very much a sales manager.
Okay.
And so coming to work for an education charity, I grew up in education. My mum was a head teacher. So education for me is a huge thing, and I'm really proud to live in a place where education is viewed as something really important. When I first heard about the job, it was a friend of mine who said, there's a job working for the Out of Bounds Trust, you've got to apply. And I was like, no, I like my job. I don't want to apply. The first person I spoke to was Natalie Harling, who's our Director of Business. So she looks after our 3 different business streams in terms of sales. So our education team, our summer adventure team, and the early careers team. And so as a charity, we have our corporate partnerships and we have our donors, but we also still need to bring money into the charity. So we're not for profit. Everything is invested back into the organisation. And when she talked to me about it, she said, you know, you'll spend your first year just learning about Out of Bounds. There's no expectation on you. And I was like, well, this is an odd job. You're asking me to come and work for you. You've got no expectations of me to perform in any way. It's like, I feel like there's a catch. And actually, she was so right, because I don't come from an outdoor instructor background. And to learn about Out of Bounds and to learn from all of the people who work at Out of Bounds has been an absolute pleasure for me. And I've got a colleague who works in our education team, and she's worked for the Out of Bounds Trust for 22 years. And she said to me, if you just think about everything you do being the right thing for those young people, you'll never go wrong.